up on Cronkite News, we take a look at the Supreme Court nomination that made history and efforts to increase diversity in Arizona's judicial system.
Plus, the BA.2 variant. We look at the impact of this new COVID-19 strain in Arizona.
And later, we'll tell you what type of weather we could see this spring season.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Molly Hudson.
And I'm Mia Marquez. Thank you for joining us. Confirmation hearings of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson began this week. She was nominated by President Joe Biden to fill Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer's seat. He says he will retire this summer. Jackson made history as the first Black woman to be nominated to the Supreme Court. In hearings this week, Jackson has answered questions from both parties covering topics of race, abortion, and faith. In her opening remarks, Jackson said she decides cases from a neutral posture. She also expressed how she felt about the possibility of filling Justice Breyer's seat.
And I know that I could never fill his shoes, but if confirmed, I would hope to carry on his spirit.
Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's Supreme Court confirmation hearings are putting a spotlight on diversity among the judiciary. We took a look at efforts to diversify Arizona's judicial system and why it's important for all of us. According to the Arizona Advocacy Foundation, the most diverse court in Arizona is the Justice Court, whose judges are 80% white. A number that diversity advocates say hardly reflects the state.
It didn't reflect what the community really looks like, right? And particularly with the way that our justice system kind of is set up and in the way that it works. Currently as well, you get a lot more people in front of these judges that, don't look like the judges that are up there.
But the State Bar of Arizona is working to change that through programs like Meet the Bench, which brings State Bar members in front of a panel of diverse judges to talk about their path to the judiciary.
Meet the Bench programs are pretty effective, I think, at taking down some of the barriers that may exist for these young attorneys who don't think if they have it, that they have it within them to be a judge, that it can't be them.
Tapia says not seeing an attorney who looks like you is a major barrier for people of color entering the legal field.
There's barriers in finding those mentors, barriers in finding those people that can help you out.
Tapia says one way to combat this is building pipeline programs in communities of color at elementary, middle school, and high school levels, which organizations like Los Abogados AZ Hispanic Bar Association help do.
Diversifying the profession, which would hopefully lead to and identifying people that would take that step and apply so that those applications and those very talented people are up there in the selection process.
Although these programs can help increase diversity, Tapia says it's seeing historic nominations like Judge Jackson's that can inspire children of color and make all the difference.
Little girls or young persons or people of color looking and saying, look, I can be a Supreme Court justice one day.
The state Supreme Court has a commission on minorities in the judiciary. Their website has links to aid members of the community who are thinking about pursuing a career in law and the courts.
President Biden is on his way to Europe today to attend an emergency NATO meeting in Brussels to discuss the Russian invasion of Ukraine. He will also travel to Poland to meet with its president as thousands of Ukraine refugees reside in the country. Biden is scheduled to meet with a group of 7 leaders in a European Council gathering. The White House National Security Advisor said there will be an announcement of new sanctions in the coming days. This comes after calls from Ukraine President, European allies, and U.S. Democrats and Republicans to do more in response to the Ukraine crisis. Biden will also discuss long-term troop presence in Europe and the potential for Russia to use nuclear weapons and how the U.S. and allies will respond.
Today marks 2 years since Valleywise Health admitted its first patient with COVID-19. Cronkite News reporter John Brown takes a look at the significance of the 2-year anniversary and the new strain of the Omicron variant.
It's been 2 years to the day since the first COVID-19 positive case was recorded at Valleywise Health. In a virtual press conference today, Chief Clinical Officer Michael White talked about what the efforts that medical professionals are taking to combat the spread of the virus. As of this morning, Valleywise reported 6 COVID patients in its hospitals and 1 in the intensive care unit. Dr. Michael White spoke about the concerns of the new strain of the Omicron variant.
We are cognizant of the new variant that is circulating within Arizona, this BA2 variant around there. Continue to see the information that comes from our partners at ASU and TGen as they sequence those tests that are positive to.
Since March 23rd of 2020, Valleywise Health has had under 16,000 COVID patients, administered 88,000 COVID tests, and 40,000 vaccines, and has had almost 300,000 telehealth visits. To fight this variant, White encourages people to get vaccinated and boosted. Outside Valleywise Health in Phoenix, John Brown, Cronkite News.
COVID-19 testing has been free for everyone since May of 2020, but now coverage will not be available. Congress and the White House could not agree on an updated budget for COVID-19 relief. This means free COVID-19 testing for those without insurance will end tonight due to a lack of funds. Raymond Embry is the CEO of Embry Health, Arizona's leading COVID-19 testing provider, and he explains what they will do.
One of the most important items is that we have now taken a leadership position, Embry Health, as well as our partners, such as Sonora Quest, to continue providing testing for the uninsured with zero interruption at guaranteed zero cost, regardless if we get paid for it or not.
Embry says 60% of the patients Embry Health serves are currently uninsured, and that minorities without insurance will be disproportionately affected.
Governor Doug Ducey has announced a $1 million investment to the Special Olympics Arizona Healthy Athletes program. The goal of the investment is to improve the lives of Arizonans with intellectual disabilities. The money will fund mental health, physical therapy, dental health, and vision services. It will also provide health screenings for 1,000 athletes and a health education to another 1,500 athletes. Prolonged drought conditions are expected to continue this spring. We take a look at what this could mean for the valley coming up.
And Arizona drivers can now add their ID to Apple Wallet. After the break, we will tell you how.
Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream. For the first time ever, our most popular programs have been selected just for you.
But there's so much more.
Whether you like to travel,
wow,
feast,
and calories don't count.
Look back,
that is me.
Discover.
You know the whole story.
There's something for everyone.
Let's get to it right away.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing.
Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
Arizona drivers can now add their driver's license to the Apple Wallet app on iPhones. Arizona Department of Motor Vehicles announced Arizona will be the first state in the country to add this feature. To add your ID, Arizona residents can tap the plus button at the top of the screen in the Apple Wallet and select driver's license or state ID. Users would need their physical ID to set up the verification process. MVD officials say this feature will make it easier for people to move through TSA security at Phoenix Sky Harbor. However, since the feature is still new, users will only be able to use it at designated TSA checkpoints. So it's still important to carry your physical ID for airports that don't allow it.
According to a recent FBI report, Arizonans lost $18 million in catfishing scams last year. The new report showed that in 2021, more than 600 Arizonans fell victim to people they felt like they could trust online. Arizona lost more than $120 million in various internet crimes last year, ranking our state 11th of those with the most victims of cyber scams. The rise in romantic scam victims has significantly increased since 2019, where 419 scams were reported.
Prolonged persistent drought conditions are expected to blanket much of the western U.S. this spring. That's the latest from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Cronkite News' Evan Liss joins us now. And Evan, this news comes on the heels of a dry winter, right?
That's right. We had a dry and warm winter, which didn't bring much snowpack to the mountains. Now, NOAA's spring weather outlook shows that all of Arizona has at least a 50% chance of seeing drought conditions develop or worsen through the end of spring. A drought outlook like this one is produced by looking at the current state of dryness mixed with what's anticipated, which in our case is little precipitation and much more warmth.
For Arizona and much of the Southwest, it's kind of a persistence story. And what I mean by that is more of the same, right? We've had the dry, we've had the warm, and overall those trends are favored into the spring months.
We are also just beginning to see what kind of monsoon season awaits Arizona in the next 6 months or so. These predictions are obviously much farther out than the spring ones, but as of right now, it's good news. The Climate Prediction Center shows that south central Arizona will likely see near normal or even above average precipitation during July through September. And most of the country could see a hot and dry summer under La Nina conditions. And if that's the case in Arizona, the monsoon could actually be triggered earlier than normal.
That would be the hope, right? Because if we can get some of that rain going, we could dent the drought a little bit. But of course, you don't want it to come too fast and furious like we had last summer at causing catastrophic flooding conditions in some parts of Arizona.
And it's all about, in monsoon season, that mix of the rain that we so desperately need and also not having it come all at once to the point where there's threat to property and lives. This week, though, that is not at all a threat. We have no rain in the forecast. In fact, it's the opposite. The warmest temperatures of the season are on their way. Upper 90s in the weekend are possible before we cool down on Monday. So what's the reason for this? We have this expansive, anomalously strong ridge of high pressure extending from the Pacific up into Canada, warm and sunny, above average temperatures for a huge swath of land. Now, once this ridge moves over us, we're going to start to heat up as well. As I said, it's late week into the weekend when this happens. This high pressure system moseys over us. Saturday is going to be the epicenter, if you will, of that heat. Then that high pressure moves out. Early next week, we have a hard stop in those very warm temperatures as we have a coastal storm system start to impact the region. We don't know what kind of rainfall we're going to get from it yet, but we will see at the beginning of next week. If you're visiting or if you have a pool in your backyard, this is the time where you're going to want to start to use it. It's the first 90s for many of the season. 87 tomorrow, Thursday, 94 on Thursday. Then by Saturday, we're already at 96 degrees. If you're visiting from elsewhere, I hope you're near a pool if you're not used to this sort of weather. In the 7-day, or looking at our 8-day forecast, as I said, we have a huge warming trend going into the weekend. High to mid-level clouds for Saturday and Sunday shouldn't be too much of an issue if you're out by the pool. Monday, Tuesday, we have that storm system start to move in, 77 degrees, that hard stop to the very warm temperatures, and we cool down back to normal at the beginning of next week. For now, I'm Evan Liss in the Cronkite News Weather Center.
I'm Zachary Larson. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Old timers hit the ice in an exciting event. Don't go away.
Cronkite News is more than your local news station. Through our innovative ideas, we create new ways to connect with our viewers and have their stories be heard. Our cutting-edge technology allows us to take a deeper dive into seeking the truth and delivering new perspectives. Stay up to date on top Arizona stories anytime on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook at Cronkite News.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing.
Everybody that watches me, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Here we go, lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Zachary Larson, and this is your Cronkite Sports Report. The University of Arizona men's basketball team is getting set to take on the University of Houston in the Sweet 16 tomorrow night. It's a huge matchup for the top-seeded Wildcats, and head coach Tommy Lloyd knows the Cougars pose a challenge.
Somebody told me they're like third in the country in offensive rebound percentage, which is amazing, and it's all this, and then I didn't even realize this. And then I looked right down below, and Arizona's 15th. So out of 350 teams, they're third, we're 15th. So, you know, I think we're right there.
Sticking to the court, some potentially major news from the Suns. After clinching the Pacific Division, they announced that point guard Chris Paul may be back sooner than expected and is now participating in some parts of practice. Head coach Monty Williams said the superstar is progressing well in his recovery from a thumb fracture.
He's been doing a little bit more. He hasn't been able to do the drill work with us. We get up and down. Even if we don't go 5-on-5, we still get up and down and script a lot of our stuff. And he hasn't been able to do that, but he's done a little bit more the past couple of weeks than he did a month ago.
And out on the ice, the Coyotes took on the Seattle Kraken last night. In a battle for the bottom of the standings, the Kraken took home the victory, winning 4-2. It was the first game for the Coyotes since the trade deadline. Staying on the ice, a hockey alumni group in Arizona gives ex-NHL players a chance to get back on the frozen pond for a good cause. Cronkite News reporter Emily Bernstein went to a recent alumni charity game in Tucson.
The passion behind playing hockey does not end with retirement. NHL alumni in Arizona still get the chance to suit up on the ice and play exhibition games against the future generations to raise money across the state.
As an ex-NHL player, you've been on the ice since you were 4 years old, your whole life. So right when you retire, you might retire from the NHL, but you never retire from hockey.
Alumni in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s recently played a charity exhibition game in Tucson against Arizona players and raised $5,000 for the university's hockey program.
It costs a lot to run a program like this, and to compete at a high level and to play the top teams, you got to travel. To do those things, feed them, take care of them, pay for the ice, it takes a lot of equipment, and so it's critical to the program establishing itself at the level it is.
Even though these players are no longer playing in front of packed arenas every night, the alumni love to get back on the ice and put on a show when it comes to giving back to the sport of hockey.
The whole thing they're doing is great, not only to honor the NHL players of the past, but to support the current hockey groups.
I'm from Arizona. I was born and raised in Scottsdale and played for the junior Coyotes, so it's awesome giving back to players that are within the state, schools that are in the state, and it's a great charity.
Over the last 13 years, the alumni have donated over $1.3 million back to hockey from Flagstaff all the way to Tucson.
It's a lot of fun giving back to the Valley. The Arizona fans are absolutely fantastic, and we're trying to give back to the community as well.
The old-timers remain undefeated against the University of Arizona. However, there's so much the younger athletes can gain on the ice when it comes to facing up against former professional hockey players.
It's really a celebration of hockey, and that's what makes it so much fun.
And it's fun for these retired players to know they've still got it. In Tucson, Emily Bernstein, Cronkite News.
To golf, where the ASU women's team has a pair of matches in the next 2 weeks before the Pac-12 tournament starts April 18th. The Sun Devils have a lot of international players, and as Cronkite News reporter Marty Savlov tells us, the roster diversity contributes to the team's success.
ASU athletes come from all over the world. On the women's golf team, Alessandra Finali is from Italy and Alexandra Fosterling is from Germany. Together, they have found comfort in having each other over the past 4 years.
We actually didn't really know each other, but after we got at ASU, we were both freshmen. We have been living together. I think it's nice because we miss a lot from home, kind of in the same way, but on the other side, we're both from different cultures too, so it's great to see what's different.
So we always compare to each other, and then sometimes, like, even when we don't understand words, like, I would say, like, I would look at them and I would be like, how is it in your language? Like, how is that word in your language? And then we would see, like, it's kind of similar.
Head coach Missy Farke feels the positive impact of having athletes from different walks of life and how this equates to the team's success.
It's wonderful to have the mix that we have because they all learn so much from each other. They come from different cultures, different backgrounds, different golf backgrounds. And when there's synergy, it works really well. It's a lot of fun to watch.
The team is continuing to grow and learn together as a cohesive, diverse unit. In Phoenix, Marty Savlov, Cronkite News.
Finally, the State Department says the U.S. was granted consular access to Brittany Griner, who is detained in Moscow on drug charges. U.S. officials say the Mercury Star is in, quote, good condition. That's all for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Mia and Molly.
A brand new immersive art exhibit is making its way to Arizona, highlighting one classic artist. Find out where you can catch a glimpse of gold right here in the Valley.
Cronkite News is more than your local news station. Through our innovative ideas, we create new ways to connect with our viewers and have their stories be heard. Our cutting-edge technology allows us to take a deeper dive into seeking the truth and delivering new perspectives. Stay up to date on top Arizona stories anytime on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook at Cronkite News.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing. Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Here we go. Lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
The creators of the famous Van Gogh exhibit Art Experience are bringing another event highlighting a legendary artist to the Valley. Immersive Klimt will display the work of late Austrian painter Gustav Klimt in Scottsdale starting Saturday. Klimt was a symbolist painter in the late 1800s who featured gold in his work. The exhibit will consist of 500,000 feet of projections and over 60,000 frames of video that will transport visitors into a unique space of Klimt's art. Tickets for the exhibit are for sale online now. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.